What's up, my good hits brethren? You know what we're about. We're bleeding the block for the best in underground hip-hop and rap here in New York City and beyond. You're now listening to the #1, yeah, you heard me, the #1 underground hip-hop channel here in New York City. Today we have PSA number 2, where we discuss rap music, rappers, and never politics. We have a number of headlines this past week affecting a number of rappers. And usually when you look at a headline with your favorite rapper, they're either talking about who he's currently dating, which, let's be honest, most of us don't give a shit, if he's releasing new music, or it's a bad headline. And unfortunately, just like Casanova this past week, we have a number of bad headlines for one particular New York City rapper out of the High Bridge area of Bronx. Yes, we're talking about A Boogie with the hoodie. Prosecutors are saying they have a number of charges against A Boogie: drugs, bullets, guns, bunch of other shit. They raided his house in New Jersey. Does anyone know why A Boogie lives in New Jersey? That confused me. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make millions of dollars off my YouTube hits, like, look back at it, which has over 125 million views, so let me go buy a mansion in New Jersey? Like, he's from the Bronx, why not stay in New York City, buy like a beautiful penthouse here in New York? Kind of weird. But in some ways, he was kind of lucky to be in New Jersey, because New York City has one of the most stringent and punitive laws against owning a firearm illegally. And there was a number of firearms. They found hollow point bullets and like 4 or 5 guns up in there. And guys, let's do a little psychological experiment. Everyone just like close their eyes and imagine back 4 years ago in 2016, if you were for some reason an artist and you released a bunch of songs and a few of them caught fire and got hundreds of millions of views, and you got signed to Atlantic Records, one of the best and most respectable record labels in the game. You were able to form your own record label, High Bridge Audio, and you signed yourself, and you're making it millions of dollars. What would you do? A or B? A, buy a beautiful house somewhere exotic, focus on music, invest your money, keep making music and be a star and enjoy being a star? Or do you, B, revert back to your High Bridge days and re-enter the trenches and engage in all types of funny shit, and then 4 years later, down the line, you have cops raiding your home and confiscating a bunch of illegal shit that could potentially jeopardize your career? Well, I would choose A, and we talked about this last week with regards to Casanova, but A Boogie made the dumb decision and chose B, and now he's gonna have to pay for it. Unclear to me, and y'all comment below, but if A Boogie has a long rap sheet. I don't think he does, but I don't think that this is his first offense. And these are some pretty serious charges. He might have to go under for a while. But you know, if this isn't his first charge, and again, I'm not a criminal defense lawyer, I'm not a criminal defense attorney, so I'm not a specialist in this stuff, but it would seem that he's either going to get a very long probationary period, or he might have to go under for a little bit. So it's definitely going to hamper his music career. And I think the key takeaway for any emerging artists, or anybody at all who watches this channel, is the moment you have an out from doing bad shit in your life, just leave it behind you. Leave it behind you and focus on the music instead of doing all this weird shit and getting yourself in trouble. Addicted to the trench life. Another rapper is dealing with gun issues. He is not from the New York City area, and we usually like to focus on New York rappers, but this dude's an absolute legend, and he shaped my relationship with hip-hop and rap. We're talking none other than the Carter, Mr. Lil Wayne. He has a multi-state firearm charge. They actually found a gold-plated firearm as he was traveling from out of state into Florida. So it's not a state issue. It's not state sentencing, it's federal court, it's federal sentencing. And this isn't his first gun charge. He had the arrest and gun issue in 2007, actually in New York City in front of Beacon Theater. So this is his second felony gun charge. But I have a feeling that he'll get off pretty lightly here, as he probably should, to be honest. I mean, this was a non-violent offense. Knowing Lil Wayne's high ass, he probably didn't want to leave the home without his pipe, but forgot that he was like going like in an airplane to a different state and just left it in his luggage. Like you leave like a little baggie of pot in your suitcase or some shit. Not that I ever have, but you know, in theory. And he got caught. He got arrested. He pled guilty. I think he's probably going to get probation. He's obviously worth hundreds of millions of dollars. As a matter of fact, he just sold his masters to like some investment company or record label for like a few $100 million. So this guy is going to be able to pay whatever fine and just swallow whatever probationary period he's going to get. I mean, he's 38 years old. He ain't a spring chicken anymore. He's a bit of an old head. So he's really not out there like that. So I don't think probation's really going to affect his lifestyle all too much. But yeah, just a couple of bad headlines. But I think that the main takeaway, especially for somebody like A Boogie, is just like, why do rappers make these boneheaded decisions? Get better management, get better consultants, get better people around you who are not going to let you stray away from your millions of dollars and your successful music career to make a boneheaded decision like this. In other more local New York and local New York City drill music news, I saw that OMB Jaydee about a week ago posted some... he posted like a Instagram story in which he said that his tiff with Fivio Foreign a couple of weeks ago was actually meant to drum up attention to his song Pain. That's really dumb to me and doesn't make any sense, because in Pain itself, in the song itself, he references Fivio and references having issues with Fivio Foreign. And I talked about this in my review of Pain, but why would he reference a conflict and memorialize it forever in a song if it was all fake and just for marketing purposes? There was obviously a little bit of, I don't even want to call it beef, it's more like just two friends bickering. It's like two friends in a little bit of a fight, maybe some jealousy. But yeah, I don't think that as a marketing move it makes sense. I also just don't think it's true. I think OMB Jaydee is one of the most talented drill rappers in New York City. Probably one of the most, if not the most talented rapper out of Brooklyn. But boy, does he need better management. He needs like an actual manager. He needs to, he's starting to do it a little bit, but he needs to grow his image and better his marketing a little bit. Because he has all the talent in the world, but he has shitty management. Like this whole conflict, it just tells you that he needs somebody to actually better advise him on day-to-day decisions on how to upkeep his image, because this whole thing was a mess. Like the whole little fight was a mess. It made him look bad, and then on top of that, he's coming out and saying that was marketing for Pain. Now nobody's going to take you seriously. Now nobody's going to believe you. Even if it was a marketing tactic, you keep your mouth shut. You don't tell the world that it was a marketing tactic. You let the marketing play out for itself. Terrible decision. One of the local blogs and other news, Talk of the Town, which does a great job covering drill music. They're a bit different than what we do here at Good Hits TV. We are more like pundits. We give our opinions on rappers, on their music. We interview rappers and ask them the tough questions. Talk of the Town's more of like a journalistic enterprise. They mostly do like journal work, and you know, they interview rappers occasionally, but it's usually fairly like easy questions. They mostly are almost like a news network for particularly drill music, but New York rap in general. They're doing their like end of the year awards, and I have like a bit of advice for them. If you're gonna do awards for like the most lyrical rapper or the best newcomer or the rapper of the year, and you're like a smaller blogger outlet, learn from the big dogs. Learn from the big dogs like the Emmys, the Oscars, Grammys, Good Hits TV. And don't yeah, I'm gonna toss us in there. One thing you find in common with all of these organizations that give out awards to musicians or like movies or whatever is they make the decision on who to give the award to. They don't let the fans have 100% vote and make it a popularity contest, because that distorts who in fact is the most talented lyricist or rapper or newcomer. As experts in music and in the drill scene in New York, you should be able to tell us who you guys think are the best rappers or the most talented rappers in the game. You shouldn't be leaving it 100% up to the fans, because then it just becomes a popularity contest. And if you are going to do it, do what they do with like the Grammys or the Emmys or whatever, and just make it a certain smaller percentage of the overall weight given to who wins the actual award. So take a bit of advice from Good Hits TV. I'll be releasing a list, the Power 20, as we're going to call it. And these are just like the 20 best drill rappers, in my opinion, that you should be listening to here in New York City, after I've exhaustively poured through hundreds of these songs, many of which were quite shitty. Finally, and I won't keep you guys here much longer, in some New York sports news. Yeah, you heard us. We're talking about New York sports, which are usually painfully shitty. We're talking about none other than Big Blue, the G-Men itself, the New York Giants, who are on, you heard me, they are in the playoff hunt in the NFC East. And as of to the recording of today's PSA number 2, they did shit the bed against none other than the Arizona Cardinals, who I believe they lost 28-7 but they're still actually in the race. The Cowboys made up some space with the Bengals today, but they're still in the race. Anything could happen. They win a few more games, the other few teams in the NFC East lose a few games, and all of a sudden a New York City football team is in the playoffs. So just some big news. Hopefully that's some good news if you're a Giants supporter. So with that, over and out. That's it for me. Y'all hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, follow us at Good Hits TV on Instagram and all other social media. TikTok, yes, we're even on TikTok. And y'all have a great night, safety, and as always, salute.
I spoke it loud, this ain't a mumble. I stretch my feelings through these songs. My niggas know that I still love you. Got indicted for some rape shit. Been getting pussy, ain't gotta take shit.